The morning fog hung thick over London as Prince William adjusted his navy blue suit jacket one final time. Kate stood beside him, her hands smoothing down her elegant cream dress, both of them trying to prepare for what lay ahead. Today wasn't supposed to be different from any other royal visit. Their schedule showed a routine appearance at St. Mary's Children's Hospital, followed by lunch with the hospital board, and then back to Kensington Palace by evening. "Are you ready for this?" Kate whispered, her voice barely audible over the sound of their security detail moving around them. William nodded, though something in his stomach felt unsettled. Perhaps it was the way the hospital director, Dr. Sarah Chun, had spoken on the phone the night before. Her voice carried a weight that went beyond the usual formalities of arranging a royal visit. The black car pulled up to the hospital's main entrance, where a small crowd had gathered despite the early hour. Children pressed their faces against the windows of the upper floors, their breath creating small clouds on the glass as they tried to catch a glimpse of the royal couple. William had always found these moments bittersweet. The excitement in their eyes reminded him of his own childhood, but the hospital setting brought back memories he preferred to keep buried. As they stepped out of the car, the familiar sounds of camera shutters and polite applause filled the air. Kate smiled and waved, her natural warmth immediately connecting with the crowd. A little girl in a wheelchair, no more than 7 years old, held up a hand-drawn picture of a crown. Kate walked over and knelt down to her level, accepting the gift with genuine gratitude. "What's your name, sweetheart?" Kate asked, her voice gentle and kind. "Emma," the girl replied shyly, then added with sudden boldness, "Are you really a princess?" Kate laughed, the sound light and musical. "I suppose I am, in a way. But you know what? I think you're much more beautiful than any princess I know." Emma's face lit up with pure joy, and her mother's eyes filled with tears. These were the moments that made all the protocol and formality worthwhile. William watched his wife with pride, seeing how naturally she connected with people, especially children. Dr. Chen appeared at the hospital entrance, flanked by several staff members in their crisp white coats. She was a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and graying hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. As the royal couple approached, she stepped forward with a respectful bow. "Your Royal Highnesses, welcome to St. Mary's. We're honored by your visit," she said, though William noticed a slight tremor in her voice. "Thank you for having us, Dr. Chun," William replied, shaking her hand. "We're looking forward to meeting the children and hearing about the wonderful work you're doing here." As they walked through the hospital's main corridor, Dr. Chun began explaining the facility's mission. St. Mary's specialized in treating children with serious illnesses, providing not just medical care, but emotional support for families going through the most difficult times of their lives. The walls were painted in cheerful colors, decorated with artwork created by current and former patients. Each piece told a story of hope, creativity, and resilience in the face of adversity. "We have about 150 children currently staying with us," Dr. Chun explained as they walked. "Some are here for short-term treatment, others have been with us for months. What makes our approach special is that we focus on the whole family, not just the patient." Kate paused in front of a particularly striking painting of a rainbow emerging from dark clouds. The brushstrokes were clearly made by a young hand, but the emotion behind it was unmistakable. "This is beautiful," she said softly. "Who created it?" "That was painted by Michael, an 8-year-old boy who was with us last year," Dr. Chen replied. "He said he wanted to show that even when things look scary and dark, there's always something beautiful waiting on the other side." The three of them stood in silence for a moment, absorbing the simple yet profound wisdom of a child's perspective. William found himself thinking about his own children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, safe at home, and probably just finishing their breakfast. How would he cope if one of them were facing a serious illness? How did any parent find the strength? They continued through the hospital, visiting different wards and meeting with staff members who shared stories of remarkable recoveries and breakthrough treatments. In the pediatric oncology ward, they met nurses who had dedicated their entire careers to caring for children with cancer. These healthcare workers spoke with a passion that was both inspiring and heartbreaking, describing their patients not as cases or statistics, but as individuals with unique personalities, dreams, and futures worth fighting for. "Would you like to visit some of our current patients?" Dr. Chen asked as they finished touring the treatment facilities. "We have several children who specifically asked to meet you when they heard about your visit." William and Kate exchanged glances. This was always the most challenging part of hospital visits, but also the most meaningful. Meeting the children meant stepping into their world of uncertainty, pain, and hope. It required them to set aside their own emotions and focus entirely on bringing a moment of joy into lives that had been touched by circumstances no child should have to endure. "We'd be honored," Kate replied, speaking for both of them. Dr. Chun led them toward a section of the hospital they hadn't yet seen. As they walked, she prepared them for what they were about to encounter. "The children in this ward are dealing with some of our most complex cases," she explained gently. "Some have been here for several months. Others are here for end-of-life care. But I want you to know that despite everything they're going through, their spirit and courage will amaze you." They paused outside a door marked with colorful stickers and a nameplate that read Tommy's room. Dr. Chun knocked gently and pushed the door open slightly. "Tommy, you have some very special visitors here to see you." William and Kate stepped into the room, not knowing that what they were about to witness would change their understanding of courage, love, and the incredible strength of the human spirit. The door opened fully, and what they saw inside would move them to tears in a way neither had expected, creating a moment that would stay with them for the rest of their lives. Inside the small hospital room, surrounded by machines that beeped softly and tubes that carried life-sustaining medications, sat a thin boy who couldn't have been more than 10 years old. Tommy had lost most of his hair to chemotherapy, but his eyes sparkled with an energy that seemed to defy his physical condition. What immediately caught William and Kate's attention, however, wasn't Tommy himself, but what he was doing. The boy was sitting up in his bed, carefully arranging small handmade cards on his bedside table. Each card was decorated with crayon drawings of hearts, flowers, and smiling faces. As William and Kate approached, they could see that Tommy was writing messages on each card with painstaking concentration, his small hand gripping the pencil tightly. "Hello, Tommy," Kate said softly, not wanting to startle him. "I'm Kate, and this is William. We heard you wanted to meet us." Tommy looked up, and his face broke into the biggest smile either of them had ever seen. "You really came," he exclaimed, his voice weak but filled with excitement. "I can't believe you're actually here. Wait until I tell everyone back home." William pulled up a chair next to the bed while Kate sat on the edge, being careful not to disturb any of the medical equipment. "What are you working on there?" William asked, gesturing to the cards scattered across the table. Tommy's eyes lit up even brighter. "Oh, these are special cards I'm making for other kids in the hospital. See, I've been here for 3 months now, and I noticed that some of the newer kids get really scared when they first arrive. So I thought maybe if they got a nice card from someone who understands what they're going through, it might help them feel better." Kate picked up one of the completed cards, and her breath caught in her throat. On the front, in Tommy's careful handwriting, it read, "You are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and loved more than you know." Inside, there was a drawing of 2 stick figures holding hands under a rainbow, with the message, "From your friend Tommy, who believes in you." "Tommy, this is beautiful," Kate whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "How many of these have you made?" "I've finished about 20 so far, but I want to make 50, Tommy replied proudly. "That way, every new kid who comes here for the next few months will get one. The nurses help me figure out how many we usually get." William leaned forward, studying the boy's face. There was something remarkable about Tommy's demeanor. Despite being surrounded by the harsh realities of serious illness, despite the obvious discomfort he must be experiencing from his treatment, his focus was entirely on helping others. "Tell us about yourself, Tommy. What do you like to do when you're not in the hospital?" Tommy's expression became animated as he began to talk about his life outside these walls. He told them about his love for soccer, how he played on his school team before getting sick, and how he couldn't wait to get back on the field. He talked about his little sister, Lucy, who was 6 years old, and sent him drawings every day through their mother. "Lucy doesn't really understand why I have to be here for so long," Tommy explained, pulling out a folded piece of paper from under his pillow. "But she draws me pictures of our dog, Buster, so I don't forget what he looks like. Want to see?" He unfolded the paper to reveal a child's drawing of a brown dog with floppy ears and a wagging tail. At the bottom, in a 6-year-old's unsteady handwriting, were the words, "Miss you, Tommy. Buster says woof." Kate had to look away for a moment, blinking back tears. The simple innocence of the drawing, combined with the obvious love between the siblings, was almost overwhelming. William reached over and gently squeezed her hand, his own emotions threatening to surface. "She sounds like a wonderful sister," William managed to say. "I bet she misses you very much." "Yeah, she does. Mom says she asks every day when I'm coming home, Tommy replied, then quickly added, but I told them not to worry about me. I'm doing okay here, and I'm learning lots of new things, like how to make these cards, and how the machines work, and how to make friends with kids from all over the country. Dr. Chun, who had been standing quietly by the door, stepped forward. Tommy has become something of a leader among our patients, she said with obvious affection. When new children arrive, and they're frightened, Tommy always asks if he can visit them. He has a gift for making people feel better. It's not that hard, Tommy said with a shrug that belied the wisdom in his words. When you're scared, you just need someone to remind you that you're not alone. My mom taught me that when I first got here, and I was crying every night. Kate found her voice again. Your mother sounds very wise. Is she here with you now? She goes home at night to be with Lucy and to work, but she's here every day after school, Tommy explained. She reads to me and helps me with my homework. The teachers here are nice, but Mom makes math make sense in a way nobody else can. William was struck by the matter-of-fact way Tommy talked about his situation. There was no self-pity, no anger at the unfairness of a child having to spend months in a hospital. Instead, there was an acceptance and even a sense of purpose that many adults never achieve. Tommy, can I ask you something? William said, leaning closer. How do you stay so positive when things are difficult? The boy thought for a moment, his young face serious with concentration. Well, my mom always says that we can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond to it. And I figured that if I have to be here anyway, I might as well try to make it better for everyone else too. He paused, then added with the honesty that only children possess. Plus, feeling sorry for myself just makes me more tired, and I need my energy to get better so I can go home and play soccer again. At that moment, a nurse knocked on the door and entered carrying a lunch tray. She was a young woman with kind eyes and scrubs decorated with cartoon characters. Time for lunch, Tommy, she said cheerfully, then noticed the royal visitors. Oh, your royal highnesses, I didn't realize you were here. Please, don't let us interrupt Tommy's routine, Kate said quickly. We don't want to disrupt his care. But Tommy had other ideas. Actually, would you like to stay and eat with me? Hospital food isn't great, but it's better when you have company. And I can tell you more about my card project. William and Kate looked at each other, then at Dr. Chun, who nodded encouragingly. This wasn't part of their scheduled itinerary, but sometimes the most meaningful moments happen when you step away from the plan. We'd love to, Kate replied, and Tommy's smile grew even wider. As the nurse arranged extra chairs around Tommy's bedside table, transforming it into an impromptu dining area, none of them realized that they were about to witness something that would reveal the true depth of Tommy's character, and the reason why this moment would become one of the most emotionally powerful experiences of William and Kate's royal duties as they settled around Tommy's bedside table for an unexpected lunch. The atmosphere in the room felt surprisingly natural and warm. Tommy carefully moved his handmade cards to make room for everyone, treating his royal guests as if they were old friends who had simply stopped by for a visit. You know, Tommy said as he picked at his sandwich, I never thought I'd eat lunch with a prince and princess. Wait until I tell the other kids. He paused, then looked thoughtful. Actually, maybe you could meet some of them? There's this girl named Sarah in the room next door, and she's been really sad lately. I think meeting you would make her feel better. Kate exchanged a glance with Dr. Chun, who nodded approvingly. We'd love to meet your friends, Tommy. But first, tell us more about these cards you're making. How did you come up with the idea? Tommy's face grew serious as he set down his sandwich. Well, when I first got here, I was really scared. Everything was new and confusing, and the machines made weird noises all night. I cried a lot, which made my mom cry, and that made me feel even worse. He reached over and picked up one of his cards, turning it over in his small hands. Then, this boy named Marcus, who was in the bed where Sarah is now, gave me a card he had made. It just said, Hi, I'm Marcus, and I know you're scared, but it gets easier. It was such a simple thing, but it made me feel like someone understood what I was going through. William leaned forward, captivated by the story. What happened to Marcus? Tommy's expression grew sad for a moment, but then brightened again. Marcus got to go home about a month ago. His treatment worked really well, and now he sends me letters from school telling me about all the things he's doing. He's playing baseball again, and even got a new puppy. The boy reached under his pillow and pulled out a photograph showing a smiling boy about his age holding a golden retriever puppy. That's Marcus with his new dog, Charlie. He said when I get better, I can come visit and play with Charlie. Kate felt her chest tighten with emotion. The simple friendship between these two boys, forged in the most difficult of circumstances, represented something pure and beautiful about human connection. So when Marcus left, Tommy continued, I realized that I wanted to do the same thing for other kids that he did for me. That's when I started making the cards. Each one takes me about an hour to make because I want to get the words just right. He picked up a card he was currently working on and showed it to them. This one had a drawing of a hospital building with a rainbow arcing over it, and children of different sizes standing in front holding hands. This one is for a boy named David who's coming in next week. The doctors told me he's really nervous about being away from home for the first time. Dr. Chun, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. Tommy asked me if he could have information about incoming patients so he could make personalized cards for them. We don't usually share patient information, but Tommy's request was so thoughtful that we found a way to honor it while respecting privacy. Each card is different, Tommy explained proudly. I try to think about what each kid might need to hear. Some need to know they're brave, some need to know they're not alone, and some just need to know that someone is thinking about them. William was struck by the sophistication of Tommy's emotional intelligence. How do you know what each person needs to hear? I talked to the nurses, Tommy replied matter-of-factly. They know everything about how the kids are feeling. Nurse Ginny told me that David is worried about missing his dog, so my card for him talks about how dogs never forget their owners, even when they're apart. At that moment, there was a soft knock on the door. A woman in her 30s with tired eyes and brown hair pulled back in a ponytail peered into the room. Tommy, honey, I'm back from work and, oh my goodness. The woman's eyes widened as she recognized William and Kate. She started to back out of the room, clearly flustered, but Tommy called out excitedly, Mom, come meet Prince William and Princess Kate. They're eating lunch with me. Tommy's mother, clearly overwhelmed, stepped hesitantly into the room. She was wearing work clothes and looked like she had rushed straight from her job to the hospital, as she probably did every single day. I'm so sorry to interrupt, she said, looking embarrassed. I had no idea. I can come back later. Please, don't apologize, Kate said warmly, standing up to greet her. You must be Tommy's mother. He's been telling us wonderful things about you. I'm Susan, the woman replied, still looking stunned. This is such an honor. Tommy, why didn't you tell me they were coming today? I wanted it to be a surprise, Tommy said with a grin. Plus, I wanted to show them my cards first, and I knew you'd get all worried about the room being messy or something. Susan's eyes filled with tears as she looked around the room, taking in the scene of her son having lunch with members of the royal family as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Tommy has been showing us his incredible card project, William explained. We're amazed by his thoughtfulness and creativity. Susan's expression grew soft and proud as she looked at her son. He's always been like that, even before he got sick. When he was 5, he used to make happy notes for kids at school who looked sad. I'd find them in his pockets when I did laundry. Mom, Tommy protested, clearly embarrassed but pleased. It's true, Susan continued, her voice growing stronger. Even when he was first diagnosed, and we were all so scared, his first concern was making sure Lucy wouldn't be frightened. He told her he was going on an adventure to help doctors learn how to make other kids better. Kate reached over and squeezed Susan's hand. You've raised an extraordinary young man. Susan's composure finally cracked, and tears began to flow freely. I'm sorry, she whispered. It's just been so hard. And seeing him like this, so happy and normal, with you both treating him like he matters. He does matter, William said firmly. Tommy matters very much, and what he's doing here is changing lives. Tommy, seeing his mother's tears, reached over and took her hand. Mom, don't cry. Save the tears for when I come home, okay? Right now, I want to show Prince William and Princess Kate the special card I made for Lucy. He reached into his bedside drawer and pulled out a card that was clearly different from all the others. This one was decorated with extra care, covered in glitter and small cutout hearts. The drawing on the front showed 2 stick figures, one taller than the other, playing with a dog under a bright sun. This is for Lucy's birthday next week, Tommy explained. I can't be there for her party, but I wanted her to know that I'm thinking about her and that I'll be home as soon as I can. As Tommy opened the card to show them what he had written inside, both William and Kate realized they were about to see something that would touch their hearts in a way they never expected, revealing the true depth of this remarkable boy's love for his family. Tommy carefully opened the birthday card he had made for his sister Lucy, revealing the message inside written in his careful, childish handwriting. As William and Kate leaned in to read it, they saw words that would forever change their understanding of love, sacrifice, and the incredible strength that children possess. Dear Lucy, the card read, "Happy 7th birthday to the best sister in the whole world. I'm sorry I can't be there to eat cake with you, but I want you to know that every day I'm in the hospital, I think about you and Buster and how much I love you both. The doctors are teaching my body how to be strong again, and when I come home, we're going to have the biggest celebration ever. I'm learning so much here that I can teach you, like how to be brave when you're scared and how to make friends with people who are different from you. I hope you like the present I made for you. Mom has it hidden in her closet. I love you more than all the stars in the sky. Your big brother, Tommy." But it was what came next that broke their hearts. At the bottom of the card, in even more careful writing, Tommy had added, "P.S. If the doctors tell you I have to stay longer, don't be sad. I'm exactly where I need to be right now, helping other kids and learning to be the best big brother ever. And remember, even when we're apart, we're still connected by our hearts." Kate's hand flew to her mouth, and tears began streaming down her face. William felt his own eyes fill up as he realized the profound maturity and selflessness contained in those simple words. This 10-year-old boy was not only comforting his younger sister about his own serious illness, but he was preparing her for the possibility that his treatment might not go as planned. Susan, Tommy's mother, watched their reaction and began crying again herself. "He wrote that last part after his last scan showed some complications," she whispered. "The doctors had to explain to him that his treatment might take longer than we originally hoped, and his first thought was how to help Lucy understand." Tommy looked up from the card, seeming surprised by everyone's emotional reaction. "What's wrong? Did I spell something incorrectly? I worked really hard on this." William cleared his throat, trying to compose himself. "No, Tommy, your spelling is perfect. It's just, your message is so beautiful and loving. Lucy is very lucky to have you as her big brother." "I'm the lucky one," Tommy replied simply. "Lucy makes me laugh even when I feel sick, and she sends me pictures every day." Look, he opened a small photo album that had been sitting on his bedside table. Page after page showed crayon drawings from Lucy, each one more imaginative than the last. There were pictures of Tommy as a superhero flying over the hospital, drawings of their family dog wearing a doctor's coat, and images of rainbows and flowers with messages like, "Get well soon," and "I miss you." "This one is my favorite," Tommy said, pointing to a drawing of two stick figures holding hands under what appeared to be a very lopsided rainbow. "Lucy drew this the day I started my treatment. She said the rainbow looked funny because she was crying while she drew it, but she wanted to include it anyway because rainbows mean hope." Kate reached over and gently touched the page. "These are absolutely precious, Tommy. You can feel how much Lucy loves you in every single drawing. She's going to be so excited when she finds out I met you both," Tommy said with a grin. "She's been practicing her curtsy ever since she found out I was going to meet real royalty. Mom, can you show them the video?" Susan smiled through her tears and pulled out her phone. "Lucy made Tommy a video message yesterday. Would you like to see it?" Before anyone could respond, she was playing a video of a little girl with the same bright eyes as Tommy, wearing a pink dress and standing in what appeared to be their living room. Lucy had clearly spent considerable time preparing for her performance. "Hi, Tommy," the little girl said, waving enthusiastically at the camera. "I'm practicing my curtsy for when you tell the prince and princess about me. Watch this." She attempted an elaborate curtsy that resulted in her nearly falling over, but she giggled and tried again. "I miss you so much, Tommy. Buster misses you too. He sits by your bed every night waiting for you to come home. Mom says you're being very brave, and I'm trying to be brave too, but sometimes I cry because I want you to come home now." The little girl's voice grew more serious, and she moved closer to the camera. "But I know you're helping other kids feel better, just like you always help me when I'm sad. You're the best big brother ever, and I can't wait to show you all the new tricks I taught Buster while you've been gone. I love you bigger than the biggest thing in the whole world." The video ended with Lucy blowing kisses at the camera and waving goodbye. The room fell silent except for the soft beeping of medical equipment and the sound of several people trying not to cry. "She makes that for me every day," Tommy said proudly. "Even on days when she's busy with school or playing with friends, she always finds time to make me a video. Mom says it's helping her deal with missing me, but I think she just likes being on camera. William and Kate sat in stunned silence, overwhelmed by the love and resilience of this family. Here was a 10-year-old boy facing a serious illness with more grace and maturity than most adults, while maintaining such a strong connection with his little sister that their bond seemed to transcend physical distance. Tommy, Kate said softly, would it be all right if we made a video message for Lucy? We'd love to wish her a happy birthday and tell her what an amazing brother she has. Tommy's eyes lit up with pure joy. Really? You would do that for Lucy? She's going to scream so loud that our neighbors will think something's wrong. Susan laughed, the first genuinely happy sound she'd made since entering the room. That's exactly what she'll do. She'll watch it 100 times and probably try to show everyone at school. Then, let's make it extra special, William said, pulling out his phone. Tommy, what should we tell her? For the next few minutes, they worked together to create a video message for Lucy. Tommy directed the whole production, making sure William and Kate mentioned specific things that would mean the most to his sister. He wanted them to acknowledge her drawings, praise her curtsy practice, and tell her how proud they were of how brave she was being while her brother was in the hospital. As they recorded the message, with Tommy beaming in the background, none of them realized that this moment was about to be interrupted by news that would test everything they had learned about hope, courage, and the power of human connection. Dr. Chen appeared at the door with an expression that immediately told them something important was about to happen. Dr. Chen stood in the doorway with an expression that made everyone in the room fall silent. Her face carried a mixture of excitement and emotion that immediately caught Tommy's attention. Dr. Chen, Tommy asked, setting down his phone where they had just finished recording the birthday message for Lucy. Is everything okay? You look like you have something important to tell us. The doctor stepped fully into the room, carrying a folder in her hands. Susan instinctively moved closer to her son's bed, her motherly instincts picking up on the significance of the moment. Tommy, Dr. Chen began, her voice slightly shaky. I have your latest test results, and I wanted to share them with you personally. She paused, looking around the room at William and Kate. I hope it's all right that I discuss this with your guests here. They're not guests anymore, Tommy said matter-of-factly. They're friends. You can tell me anything in front of them. Dr. Chen smiled, and suddenly, the tension in her expression began to shift towards something that looked remarkably like joy. Tommy, your blood work from this morning shows something we've been hoping to see for weeks. Your white cell count has improved dramatically, and the markers we've been monitoring are moving in exactly the right direction. Susan's hand flew to her mouth. What does that mean? She whispered. It means, Dr. Chen continued, her smile growing wider, that Tommy's treatment is working better than we even dared to hope. The aggressive therapy we started last month appears to have been exactly what his body needed. Tommy looked confused for a moment, as if he wasn't sure whether to be excited or cautious. So does this mean I can go home soon? It means, Dr. Chen said, pulling up a chair next to his bed, that if your numbers continue to improve at this rate, we might be talking about discharge planning within the next few weeks. You're not completely out of the woods yet, and you'll need continued outpatient treatment. But, Tommy, this is the best news we could have hoped for. The room erupted in a mixture of tears, laughter, and overwhelming emotion. Susan began crying so hard she could barely breathe, while Tommy sat in his bed looking stunned, as if he couldn't quite process what he was hearing. I can go home, he repeated, as if saying the words would make them more real. I can see Lucy and Buster. I can sleep in my own bed. Not immediately, Dr. Chen cautioned gently, but soon, very soon. William and Kate watched this extraordinary moment unfold, feeling privileged to witness such a profound instance of joy and hope. But what happened next would be etched in their memories forever. Instead of celebrating his own good news, Tommy's first thought was for others. Dr. Chen, he said urgently, what about Sarah next door? And David who's coming next week? If I go home, who's going to make cards for the new kids? The doctor looked at him with amazement. Tommy, you've just received the best possible news about your health, and you're worried about other patients? Well, yes, Tommy replied, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. I made a promise to Marcus when he left that I would take care of the scared kids. I can't just abandon that because I'm getting better. Susan reached over and hugged her son, tears still streaming down her face. Oh, sweetheart, I'm sure we can figure something out. Maybe you could still visit sometimes, or we could help you make cards at home. Tommy's face lit up with excitement as he began to formulate a plan. Actually, I have an even better idea. What if we created a whole system? I could train other kids who are staying longer to make cards for new patients. And maybe we could get schools involved, so kids who aren't sick can make cards for kids who are. He turned to William and Kate with growing enthusiasm. You could help. People would listen to you if you talked about how important it is to support kids in hospitals. We could make this way bigger than just me making cards. William and Kate exchanged glances, both of them recognizing the incredible opportunity that Tommy was presenting. This remarkable boy had just taken his own good news and immediately transformed it into a vision for helping others on a much larger scale. Tommy, Kate said softly, that's a brilliant idea. Would you like us to help you develop this into something that could reach children in hospitals all across the country? Really? Tommy's eyes grew wide. You would do that? We could help so many kids feel less scared. We would be honored to help you with this, William replied. In fact, I think this could become something truly special. What would you want to call this project? Tommy thought for a moment, his young mind working through the possibilities. What about cards of courage? Because that's what they really are. They're not just cards. They're little reminders that everyone has courage inside them, even when they don't feel brave. Dr. Chun had been listening to this conversation with growing amazement. Tommy, do you realize what you're proposing? You're talking about creating a nationwide program to support hospitalized children, and you're doing it on the day you found out your own treatment is succeeding. It just makes sense, Tommy replied with the simple wisdom that had characterized everything about him. I learned so much from being here, and I met so many incredible kids and families. If I don't use what I learned to help others, then what was the point of going through all of this? Susan looked at her son with an expression of pure pride and amazement. Tommy, you continue to surprise me every day. Even when you were little, you always found ways to turn your own experiences into opportunities to help others. That's because you taught me that, Tommy replied, reaching for his mother's hand. Remember when you used to say that our troubles become our teachers if we let them? As the afternoon sun streamed through the hospital room window, illuminating the cards Tommy had made scattered across his bedside table, William and Kate realized they had witnessed something extraordinary. They had come to the hospital expecting to provide comfort and inspiration to sick children, but instead, they had been profoundly moved and inspired by a 10-year-old boy who had shown them what true courage, love, and purpose really looked like. Tommy, Kate said, her voice thick with emotion, meeting you today has been one of the most meaningful experiences of our lives. You've reminded us what's truly important, and you've shown us that sometimes the youngest among us are the wisest teachers. Tommy blushed, but smiled proudly. Does this mean Lucy gets to meet you when I come home? Because she's going to need proof that this really happened, and I don't think the video will be enough for her. Everyone in the room burst into laughter, the sound mixing with tears of joy, hope, and the profound recognition that they had all been part of something beautiful and transformative. As William and Kate prepared to leave the hospital that day, they carried with them not only the memory of an incredible young boy and his inspiring family, but also the beginning of what would become a nationwide program bringing comfort and courage to thousands of hospitalized children. The door that had opened to Tommy's room had revealed far more than they ever expected. It had shown them the true meaning of resilience, the power of compassion, and the extraordinary capacity of the human spirit to find purpose and joy even in the most challenging circumstances. And in a small room in a London hospital, surrounded by machines and medicine, a 10-year-old boy named Tommy had reminded two members of the royal family that sometimes the most profound acts of service come from the smallest hands and the biggest hearts.